Hello, friends. This is Semi Bird, candidate for Washington State Governor. I have a very important message for you today, and this message is for anybody, regardless of your political ideology, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, Independent, new voter, or a non-voter. This message speaks to the heart of election integrity. It speaks to the core of our Constitution. It speaks to our values and what we believe in, especially when it comes to choosing who our elected officials should or should not be. And I, for one, believe that that resides in the will of the people, the power of the people, that power of your vote and your voice. Too many have died for us to have this civil liberty, and we must not take it for granted, and we must not abuse it. Several weeks ago, I received a letter from one of the largest Republican activist organizations in the state. This organization closely tied to the Washington State Republican Party. And they asked me to step aside. The leader of this organization, Mike McKee, kind enough said, Simi, we want you to take a lesser position, Lieutenant Governor, because the big money donors of Washington State have chosen Dave Reichert as their candidate. And unless you have that political backing, unless you are a high-level office holder or have held that high-level office in the past, otherwise known as a career politician, unless you are rich or wealthy so that you can self-fund, you have no chance at winning an election in Washington State. Now, the last time I checked, that was up to the citizens of Washington State. This isn't the first time that the powerful elite have asked me to step out of the race. This happened last August when U.S. Republican Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers asked me to drive 2.5 hours to Spokane, only to have her ask me to step aside. And she said, Simi, we've been wanting Dave Reichert to be our governor for a long time. And she was very kind in doing so. We. Who is we? And that is the question. My friends, what I propose to you is simply this. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, again, it does not matter. We refer to this concept of where the rich and the political power come together and they control election outcomes. And when they start to use that influence to intimidate others to get out of the race or to threaten them. And in this letter, the gentleman said, save your reputation and demonstrate that you are a team player for Republicans. Well, friends, I'm a team player for America. I am a team player for Washington State. And as an elected official, what I propose to be is in service to all citizens of Washington, not just Republicans, not just Democrats, but all citizens. The other leader of this organization, Kerry Condata, when they were pushing this concept or this hype, because I've been known and still value diversity of cultures, diversity of generations, diversity of perspectives. And I lectured on this at WSU when I worked for WSU as a consultant in business. I taught this as well. Not diversity, equity, and inclusion, but to include all persons in a discussion. When you work in an organization, all voices matter. Talk, interact, and respect one another, and you will perform better. You will have higher retention, and the bottom line of the company will increase as employees are happy and as they work more cohesively together. And so this made sense. It still makes sense, and especially within our state. But Kerry Condata did not agree and labeled me as a quote-unquote snake oil salesman and con man for this. Now, I'm not bitter, and I am no one's victim. And speaking of that, I stood against critical race theory not because I do not recognize the evils of our past. Remember, I was born without civil rights to a single woman with 7 children, starting out in East Oakland, California. So, I know my heritage. I know where I come from. I am a proud American, but I value all voices, regardless of race, creed, color, or lifestyle. All voices matter, all votes matter, All perspectives matter. And I think you will see what I'm talking about, that it makes sense. Because we have these groups that are dead set and divide us. And when we are divided, that is when we are at our most vulnerable. That is when we are our weakest. And if you're like me, you're tired of this game that people are playing. And who's playing us? Those groups we're talking about. Who's controlling the elections? Well, you're hearing it and you're seeing it. It's all about money. It's about money. Who can raise more money? Bob Ferguson has 5.4 or 5.6. Dave Reichert has 1.4. It's about the money. Is it about the money to you? Is that the kind of money you have lying around? I don't know. Does that matter most when you're looking for your elected officials, when you're choosing? Because what you're going to realize, what they're saying is, if you don't have the money, you can't get the backing. If you can't get the backing, you can't become a candidate. And if you can't become a candidate, you need to get off the ballot. So who is actually representing us? That is the question. What do you want? Can your voice be bought? Is Washington for sale? Or do you want someone who's willing to represent all citizens of Washington equally? As Dr. King would say, equality of opportunity. We're not talking about equity of outcome. This is a system of merit. It's the job of government to protect and to maintain the individual rights of citizens. Does that sound familiar? Article 1, Section 1 of our own Constitution. I have been a Republican since I was 18. Why? For me, it was an easy decision of research. Well, the party of abolition, the party of women's rights, the party of civil rights. And I hope today the party of parents' rights. But when I was a young man at 18, I made that decision based on that. My moral compass hasn't changed recently. My values haven't changed. But when I see my own party act as they have, biasly, with their thumb in the scale for one candidate over another candidate, I start to ask, was that lady who said Semi Bird has no place in the Republican Party, was she correct? Was the other lady who said Semi Bird has been playing the race card all over the place from Chelan, was she correct? What do you think? Do I have a place in the Republican Party? My values haven't changed. But I want you to wake up to the reality. Both parties do it. We have been divided. People are looking at the R, they're looking at the D. It's time to stop that nonsense we've been getting played. George Washington, President Washington, said it in his 1796 farewell address. The political party system will be our downfall. It will cater to the political power and the wealthy elite, and it's doing it right now. We have a choice. We have a choice to stand strong and to unite. And I will tell you, as the outsider, as the underdog, as the minority in all this, and I'm not talking about race, I'm talking about being that one person, marginalized, vilified, and not by the Democrats, by my own party. I've been blackballed. This is a media blackout. No one covers me. That's okay. I'm not a victim. I'm not complaining because I represent the grassroots. What I want for you to do is to activate, to get going, to spread the word, to say, to make a decision, and to grab a hold of your values and say, do you want someone who's going to represent you? Can we start talking about platforms, the characteristics of a candidate, the resume of a candidate? Now, if you're looking for someone who has years of previous service, and you can break that down in how it's going to apply to contracting, acquisition, procurement, improving our education system, making our streets safer, addressing the homelessness problem, rolling back taxes that are pricing seniors out of their homes, that are causing small businesses to collapse. This is what we should be talking about. This is what we should be focusing on. What are the qualifications of the candidate? Not what is the letter behind their name, not what do they look like, not how much money they have, not who was backing them, and certainly not being influenced biasly by political parties. And so here's what I say. regardless of which side of the aisle you find yourself on. Whenever you see that happening, challenge it. But now is the time for us to unite. Now is the time for us to come together. And so if you're like me, if you started off with nothing, and maybe you still don't have as much money in your account, and you're looking for someone who's actually going to represent you, someone who's fed up with the corrupt system of the establishment, someone who was willing to call out their own party. We call that integrity. You can call it whatever you want to. I'm going to call it speaking truth. Because there's not your truth or my truth. There's just the truth. You can go to the Washington State Republican Party and you can see the reindeer games that are playing there. You can look at that poll that they just ran that somehow miraculously put me at the bottom of the poll. Demand the methodology behind that. My friends, we are going into the final sessions of the last caucuses in which I've been leading, even after the media tried to say that I was losing. I do appreciate them doing the correction. Even after the state party chair posted it on his Facebook page that the other candidate, Dave Reichert, was expected to win the caucuses. Did he post the rebuttal or the new article that showed that we were actually winning it? No, of course you didn't, because that didn't fit the narrative. All the big money donors to the Republican Party are endorsing Dave Reichert. It's probably the same thing on the Democrat side. I haven't checked. Do you see how this works out? Money and power. Money and power. What say you? Grassroots, are you with me? Are you willing to take a stand? Does the Constitution matter? 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, 19th Amendment. Some people say it doesn't matter. It matters all to me. Because power is inherent in the people. When I was a young man, my brothers and sisters, power to the people. We used to hear that. Now I understand where it's coming from. When you take power from the people, not just some or any, it's wrong and it's unconstitutional. That's what Dr. King used to say. He referred to the Declaration and the U.S. Constitution as magnificent documents because we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator. There are certain unalienable rights, which among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It has been codified, the power of the people. It is up to us to take back which is ours. I'm not at war with anyone. I'm not against anyone. I'm fighting for everyone. At the end of this journey, when we win the convention, and when we win the primary, and we go on to the general, it is unity of all sides. It's a belief in Washington State and that our days will be better ahead of us. It is a belief that united we can. That is the belief. And as we make history in Washington State, we will reflect on these times that we stood strong, that we held the line, that we were able to put aside our petty differences and come together for a common cause to create a Washington for our future generations. This is what matters most. It's about our children and our children's children. Washington cannot be bought. My friends, brothers and sisters, I can't be bought. Stand with me. Stand for Washington. Thank you, and God bless you all.